Hey everybody, Andy here with the Digital Digest, and today I wanted to share a quick update on my experience with the Sony Alpha A7 and A7R. As you can see, I've got my A7R right here with the SEL2470Z attached to it. A phenomenal pairing, but what is really significant today about owning an A7 or A7R, and if you're a prospective buyer, another important thing to know is that Sony pushed their first official firmware update for both the A7 and A7R today on March 19th, 2014. So I haven't had a lot of time with the update yet, but the first thing I can tell you immediately is that the startup time is night and day from what it previously was. We're now looking at literally around a second, 1.5 maybe, in order to get to that first shot. So that's a critical enhancement. In my opinion, probably the most important, but there's a lot more that Sony's covering with this update. So I wanted to take you through what you'd have to essentially do in order to get this update, as well as cover the benefits associated with the update, because it not only addresses that startup time, but other performance things related to compatibility with FE, as well as older, I'll call it legacy NEX glass, the older E-mount lenses, and it has a update associated with continuous autofocus, as far as I'm aware, but we'll see when we go through the list. Remember, this just launched this morning here on the East Coast not too long ago, at least at the time of this recording. So I'm on Sony's USA Support website. Specifically, I've already selected the A7R. You can pick any Alpha or NEX model on the previous page, and I will put a link in the description for this for those of you that don't want to Google it on your own, essentially. And basically what you've got here is the ability to select the operating system that you are going to be installing this package with, the firmware update. And Mac is supported for those of you Apple users that are concerned that you may have been left out of the game. Don't worry, you're not. In my case, I am working with Windows 8.1 64-bit, so that is what I selected. I am actually demonstrating this on an Android tablet, but for the purposes of the demonstration, we will not have any issues. You can see firmware is the first option right there, and as soon as I hit it, we get an update that you can see right there. The release date is March 19th, 2014, and the new version has been bumped up to 1.02. It's 181 megabytes and change, so it's certainly, as I keep mentioning, significant. In terms of exactly what Sony points to in this update, first and foremost, this is targeted at optimizing the A7 and A7R with regard to autofocus speed, or excuse me, support in general for the SEL70-200 lens, which I will be picking up eventually, which is the first FE zoom lens, extended zoom lens for the A7 and A7R. It improves the autofocus speed, this update. It adds the focus hold button function. You also get the reduced startup time that I've been mentioning this entire course of the through the entire course of the video, and it is a major reduction. The improved image quality I can't speak to yet, but I will be doing an update on this firmware. And hopefully there is an actual difference. I'm not sure if Sony's speaking to RAW performance, JPEG performance, or maybe even both. But I'm leaning more towards the JPEG performance side of things. And then also, there is a wider support now for play memory apps. If you are an A7 or A7R owner, you already know. If you are aware of the available app selection for older NEX cameras, you're kind of left out of the mix right now. The full library is not available, so this is addressing that issue. And then also, as you can see, I'll zoom back out there, we've got live view grading now, and the smooth reflection applications are basically available. And also, it supports the smooth automatic exposure feature in the time-lapse application in version 2.0. So these are enhancements that both the A7 and A7R were essentially missing up until now. There were also updates today for the NEX family, which I'll be getting to in another video. But for an A7 or A7R owner, again, this is a big upgrade just on that startup time alone, because we all know the difference between getting that shot could be that startup time. And The A7 and A7R are incredible cameras in terms of the capability that they represent in their form factor, the ability to essentially ditch very heavy equipment in favor of kits that are now optimized to be as light as possible and give you the best compromise. And that's what the A7R that I have here to the right of this tablet that I showed earlier really does represent, in my opinion. You're basically just going to download that update right there and install the package. Sony will prompt you to accept an agreement as well as give you directions. They also reiterate, again, the benefits of this actual update. And basically, once you download it and run it, just follow the instructions on screen. Keep in mind that you will want to go into the settings on your camera. I'll show you that right now. You're going to go ahead and hit Menu, and you're going to go right into Settings and go to the USB connection. Make sure that you are set to mass storage. The A7, A7R, as well as many other Alpha cameras, are by default set to auto. You will not be able to update the firmware if you are in the auto mode. So make sure you're in mass storage. I did encounter some issues upgrading this camera to 1.02, the latest firmware version that I've been discussing here. It took about 8 or 9 tries, actually, believe it or not. And while that may sound pretty bad, I've been reading that people with A7s haven't been experiencing that, so I'm not sure exactly what to attribute that to. It may be false altogether, what I'm reporting here early. Keep in mind this update just dropped. But the point is that if it fails at the first try, do not fret, continue. I did. Eventually it worked. It seemed to stall out after the reset, so if you're experiencing that, know that I have experienced it as well, but still was able to eventually get this update to push through. Just keep in mind after the reset that you want to get back into the mass storage mode, because each time the camera resets, it throws it back into auto. So that's already maybe the one downside that I can mention regarding the update, a little bit of frustration with actually getting it applied properly and just installed. Something that should have been a little bit easier, but it's not the first time I've seen that with Sony and their cameras, and quite frankly, if you're a Sony user like myself, then you're happy just to see these updates flowing, especially for those older NEX models that I mentioned. So overall, this is a solid update just on startup time. To reiterate that, I'm just going to go ahead and power the camera off, power the camera on, and you can see how quickly we're up and shooting. So before, this would be almost, I would say, a 5-second delay, but now we've moved into another league. I realized you all could not see me actually switching the power on. Of course, I'm not focusing that close. But that is the at least most significant benefit right now from this update, as far as I can see in my limited testing. I also posted a video sample from the A7R today that was also post-update, which did look good to me in terms of a discernible difference. I wouldn't be able to commit to anything as of yet. I simply haven't spent enough time with this latest update. But I'm curious to see also how it performs with my older glass, like the Power Zoom, the native E-mount but non-full frame glass. This is designed for APS-C based Sony mirrorless cameras. This is the SELP 18 to 200 millimeter lens. So that'll be interesting as well. But overall, exciting to finally get this firmware update. It was announced back at the beginning, first week of this month. So a lot of anticipation and hopefully just more good updates to come. Any questions or comments, please feel free to post them. And of course, as usual, please feel free to subscribe. Later.